What up, nerds, and welcome to another sincere episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name's Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 445, recorded Monday, October 16th, 2023. Tonight, we're doing a triple feature of animated TV shorts. They are The Legend of Sleepy Hollow from 1949. It's The Great Pumpkin Charlie Brown from 1966. And finally, Bugs Bunny's Halloween special from 1977. Before we get into it, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy Randeezy. What's up, man?
Frackin' varmint!
How's it going, buddy? Good to hear from you. Excited to get sincere with me today?
I am. That bump sounds so dirty.
Oh, it's filthy.
These cartoons are nasty. You don't even know.
Yeah, no, Great Pumpkin, classic. Sleepy Hollow, classic. Bugs Bunny's Halloween special,
Everybody
classic.
knows it.
It's going to be a lot of fun to talk about this
Everybody
stuff.
knows it.
It's going to be great.
Last but not least, calling in from Seoul, South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy. Trick or treat, smell my feet stains.
No, thank you. Smell my
Get
feet
in there.
stains?
Give me something good to eat.
These
Bob.
are my
Give me
feet
something
stains.
good.
If you don't, I don't care. I'll
I'll
down
sniff on your underwear.
Damn.
I'll pull down your... That's assault. That's...
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I'm about to go to jail.
What do you
over
think
this candy.
tricks are?
Not those kinds of tricks, Randy.
you should have given me the candy, Bob. I told you.
Like Job said, trick is something a whore does for money or candy.
Or it's one or the other. Some nights both. If you're having a really good night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh boy!
All right, that's enough off the rails bullshit.
Covering G-rated stuff and keeping it family friendly as always.
Yeah, we love to keep it family friendly.
That's how we
talking
roll.
about the sincere Great Pumpkin.
Keep your families away.
I don't know if we can make this any clearer.
Justin is just Danzig 2.0.
Your minors shall not trespass here.
Don't walk my way. Let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. Here's another reminder. Our November poll is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this November. The theme for November is Killer Food. And the three movies to vote between are Ice Cream Mang, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, and The Stuff.
Whoa, Bob. How those numbers looking?
Looking pretty good. Those tomatoes are nice and plump with about 50% of the vote still.
Oh.
So plump, so right.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty excited because that's one of those movies I know the song, but nothing really else about the movie. Never seen it before.
I'm pretty blind on that one myself. I don't know about you, Bob.
I think I get them mixed up. I think Revenge is the one with Clooney in it. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
think
the
that's
one I've
right.
seen. I think I've
seen bits of that one, yeah.
I think I've seen bits of this one. I've seen the full Clooney one.
Okay.
It's
Revenge of the Killer Tomatoes? Is that a movie?
It's a sequel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Revenge or is it Return?
Return.
I
I
can't
thought it was
remember.
Revenge. It doesn't matter. It's got George Clooney.
It doesn't
Whatever.
matter. It's one of those. It's one of those Sith type sounding titles.
Yeah. Rotten, whatever. So yeah, get your votes in before the end of the month, and we'll see what movie we're talking about this November.
It sounds like we've already given up. Like,
Oh, great. Okay.
yeah.
There's definitely several people left to vote, and the stuff is like it's 30%, I believe, and Ice Cream Man's about 20. So like it still could flip. It's not sealed yet.
Also, too, some Slack members try to start some kind of crazy swings and coups, so you never know what's going to happen.
God, I know politics. Am I right? Woof.
Crisp November morn, we'll be counting up the votes.
Yeah.
Yeah. In other Patreon news, we're dropping mini-casts every Friday throughout the month of October. Every Friday this month, we're dropping a mini-cast on an episode of Simpsons Treehouse of Horrors. This Friday, we're dropping an episode on Treehouse 13. Lucky
Whoa,
number.
lucky number.
Boogeyman! You nailed the window shut! I'll get the gun!
It's too bad that couldn't have come out last Friday. That would have been perfect.
Yeah, it would have, but
Too bad we're just sticklers for timelines.
rules. We got a lot of rules.
Yeah, that's us. We're definitely the rule following podcast. That's
Oh
us.
yeah.
You gotta follow.
Let's recite that trick or treat line one more time. Rules is rules, baby.
Smell my.
That's what
feet
Mama always
stains. Patreon. The last thing I have regarding Patreon is I just wanted to say thanks, a big thanks to everybody that hung out with us this past Friday for our 3rd annual Howl-oween event. It was super fucking fun. We had a great time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, got pretty drunk. Watched Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Dude, that drinking game ruins lives. Like that shit got real at the end. I went through 5 Narragansetts. Not much of a beer drinker, so my stomach was exploding.
That's a lot of candy.
It was good though. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for being part of that. To all you fine folks out there, and anybody who wants to be a part of it next year, keep your eyes peeled.
Sign up now.
Sign up now and
sign up right now.
Get your. You got to sign up now. The spots are limited. Suddenly, I decided.
All of a sudden, that was we did we did a surprise movie screening like we always did, but we jazzed it up a little bit by making a drinking game, and also like pretty much doing a live commentary while the movie was rolling. The 3 of us kind of left our mics on and we're cracking jokes and shooting the shit and stuff. Super fun. Good time. Prizes are in the mail soon. Very, very soon.
Oh, yeah. Those. I know Nate's looking out.
Looking out. You guys have anything you need?
Yeah, we got a couple things I got to get through. So this upcoming Friday will be our very last for the year, not ever, hopefully, but for the year, our last Tiki video that will be coming out on YouTube. So, Bob, this is for a special day, even though we're already dropping a mini cast, we got to recognize this very special day, which is, what was it? Sasquatch?
National
Memorial
Sasquatch Awareness Day.
Awareness Day.
Gotta be
Okay,
aware.
so
Be prepared to be bedazzled.
we're prepared because Bob made a very special Sasquatch shot. Bob, you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. If
Is it
you're,
musky?
it's got undulating breasts. If you're a listener of, it's from the documentary. If you're
but damn.
if you're a listener of Straight Chilling, you know that we are big fans of big feet. And specifically a really goofy, hilarious Bigfoot documentary from the 90s called, it's got like several names. Drumming for
Bigfoot
Bigfoot.
Monster Mystery. Come on now.
Drumming
From
for
the ends
Bigfoot,
of the earth.
Yeah, it's got like 3 or 4
All
different
kinds of
names.
things.
It's hilarious. We did a review of it like 200 episodes ago or some shit. Definitely watch it and then listen to our review. I'm pretty sure it's still up for free on YouTube, and we did link that on our website. So if you find our Bigfoot Monster Mystery episode on our website, there's a link. You can watch the whole thing for free. And
See, we're not rule followers.
in honor of International Sasquatch Awareness Day, I wanted to make a drink to commemorate our love for Bigfoot and that documentary, and of course to commemorate everybody's efforts that they put forth to make that documentary and trying to find Bigfoot, everything that went into it. So it's a bit of an homage to that documentary. So be sure to check it out and drink along this Friday.
Yeah, and
Like
that's
nothing
our
I've ever
first.
smelled before in my life.
It's our first ever shot that we've made. So that's
true.
special too. Yeah.
Keep you up late at night while
Yeah.
you're trying to
A tiki
entertain
shot.
Bigfoot.
I know.
Now,
Yeah.
how fancy is the shot glass? Is it molded to form some specific item? Come on.
It
I
is.
mean, it
and
looks like a
Hell
Sasquatch.
yes. Hell yes.
You were drinking out of a Sasquatch head.
I love it. Thank
Actually,
God.
the shot glass is a whole little Sasquatch,
It
isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a full, not just the head.
Yeah.
All right.
So check that out on YouTube. Also on YouTube, A new film finally dropped. It was one that I got to see at BFON this past summer, but it is now available at least on Prime. I don't know if it's coming to any other streaming services, but it can be watched by the masses now. It's called In My Mother's Skin, and this is one that I really enjoyed, so I would recommend people check that out. But also, I got to sit in on a Q&A with the director and the two main actresses from that film. So I'm going to be throwing that up on YouTube now. I've been holding on to that until the film actually got released and people, could follow along. So that's going to be going up as well. And yeah, that one's really cool. It's got some Del Toro vibes, I would say, in the kind of vein of some, maybe Pan's Labyrinth kind of stuff, but a little more brutal, straightforward horror in that way. But yeah, good mix of like fantasy, historical horror and stuff like that. It was a really good film. So yeah. That Q&A is going to be going up if you are jonesing to watch a good new horror film and follow along with the Q&A.
Sweet deal.
Right on.
I think. Oh, also, too, just a reminder, we are going through our kind of like 31 days, even though it's more than that, Halloween straight chilling. So we have a ton of Halloween themed episodes by this year 9. So I'm throwing them all up on our socials, mostly Instagram. And so, yeah, you can follow along with that. All of our Halloween franchise episodes, the Treehouse of Terror, Treehouse of Horror episodes, and then everything else. So like, Dark Night of the Scarecrow went up this week, The Guest, anything, Halloween themed is going up there.
Over the Garden Wall.
Yeah, we'll be going up there. Yeah. So if you want to follow along with Straight Chillin' for your whole spooky month, you can do so. And that's on our Instagram. It goes up on our Facebook stories as well. And I've saved them into like a little favorite tab so you can go back and see all of them there.
Oh,
so, yeah.
She's a fancy flapjack.
We are fancy flapjacks here.
Pumpkin flapjacks.
Oh, yeah. All right. I think my house is clean.
Cool. Randy, you got anything?
Yeah. Nothing new for me aside from my ongoing 31-day daily drawing experience, the Cabinet of Cursed Objects. Check me out on the Instagram. Got one every day. And yeah, there's we're like just one day over halfway through the month, depending on how you look at it.
Down. Pump the brakes.
Oh, man.
I know it's really churning through, and I'm very happy to see all the drawings go up, but I'm very sad that the time is passing this quickly. So
Yeah, I know, dude.
get it while it's hot, people.
I know.
So fast.
I'm sorry. I do have one more thing.
Okay.
The 28th, Saturday, the 28th of October, I will also be hosting Horror Trivia at a special Halloween party that we throw kind of every year at the DCC Cafe here in Seoul. So if you're in Korea, you want to come hang out with a lot of horror movie lovers, come hang out with us. They're going to have lots of spooky games, Nightmare. There's going to be, I think, the Scooby-Doo. Oh my God, what is that game? Scooby-Doo.
Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. Is that what I said last week?
I think that's what you said last week. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. D&D. Yeah. Dungeon. Yeah. Thank you. D&D. Sessions going on. Doing Dragons. And then we're going to be doing horror trivia in the evening as well. Thank you, Bob. And so, yeah, come hang out with us at the DCC Cafe. We're going to be posting, links up and stuff on our socials and stuff if you need the address. But yeah, come hang out. That's going to be the weekend, before Halloween. So it'll be a lot of fun. Last year it was a lot of fun and was a really a good group to hang out for and get spooky with. Some good food specials and drinks there and just hang out and play some spooky games. Last year was the first time I ever played Nightmare. It was a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to that.
Rules and sucks, but mostly rules.
Yeah. And there's other games as well. So like there's a bunch of spooky themed games that will it's a board game cafe. It's got a bunch of comics and stuff too, but they have like food and a full like drinks and cocktails. And so, yeah, it's just a really fun time. So come hang out, celebrate Halloween with us. And that's on the 28th. Now my house is clean.
Hell, yeah.
And now,
all right,
a word from our sponsors.
Gather round, all you ghastly ghouls, and kick off this Halloween season with scary good music and even scarier movies. Monster House Records is a brand new vinyl record retailer specializing in punk rock music and horror movie memorabilia. Located in the heart of Sanford, Florida, they boast a wide array of physical media, including vinyl records, cassette tapes, CDs, VHS, Laserdisc, and more. You can also find vintage tees, books, and plenty of toys. Come for the music, stay for the chills and thrills at the Monster House Records. Be sure to follow them at Monster House ORL or visit them on their website at monsterhouserecords.com.
That's right. DonsterHouseRecords.com.
Dongster House.
Damn, man, we got a couple more weeks of that, so soak it in while you can.
God.
Really enjoy it.
Seriously, I'm not joking. It makes me laugh every time.
I love watching Randy flinch when it plays.
It's just the like it's over. It's oh man, it's Swedish Chef level. Mwah, beautiful.
So yeah, if you want a custom made straight chillin' ad, hit us up. You can advertise on this podcast.
Shockingly cheap, just like us.
I think our house is clean.
I think you're probably right.
His house is clean.
All right, we're kicking it off, getting into the main event here. The first of 3 animated shorts. First up, we're starting with the oldest of the 3, The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. Let's get into it.
What's on the back of the box?
Juice, this is your baby.
Yeah, so this is The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. This came out in 1949. Pretty damn old. It is as with everything tonight, it's kind of like a short. It's around like 24 minutes long, and it is part of a bigger thing. It's paired with another short that's called The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. The other one is kind of like a spoof. I've actually never seen the other one, to be honest, but I think it's The Willow and the Wisps or something like that.
The Wind in the Willows.
Oh my, The Willow and the Wisps. The Wind.
The Willow in the Wisps, man. Yep.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's early. So yeah, this was my first exposure to this story. Yeah, did you want me to go ahead and do the plot synopsis now?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so we can go ahead and get straight into it. Here we go.
Yeah, spoiler warning, I guess. We're not really gonna there's not much to spoil with these, so just be aware if you don't want these spoiled, we're gonna talk about them.
Yeah. Here we go. The Wind and the Wisps. The Willow and some Wisps. Sleepy Hollow. In a small town named Sleepy Hollow, a gangly school teacher named Ichabod Crane comes to town. Despite his unattractive appearance, he quickly proves to be a ladies' man. After charming all the mothers in town in order to get free food from them, he sets his eyes on the rich and beautiful Katrina Van Tassel, much to the local tough Brom Bones' displeasure. A rivalry erupts, only to have Crane continually gaining the upper hand. The situation changes when Brom learns about Crane's superstitions and exploits them, as he musically tells the legend of the fearsome headless horseman to frighten the teacher. That night, Crane's lonely night ride home becomes more lively than ever imagined as the horseman appears to chase him. He maybe dies. We don't know. It kind of ends on a kind of ambiguous. He's chased through the woods.
It seems like he's dead as fuck.
It might be, but they kind of leave it on a little ambiguous note, which I kind of like, and we'll talk about more. But yeah, he might be dead. He might be plowing a rich widow. So they allude.
Yeah, they do kind of they do allude to him moving a town over, and it just shows him and a bunch of hideous children eating their meals hilariously.
Yeah. So we're not really sure, but yeah, that's the Wisp and the Wind. So
or whatever.
That's the one.
Whatever the fuck this is. Have you guys read the book that it's based on?
Have I read a book, Bob? And ask me that. No, I have not.
No, actually, this is kind of one of those classic horror literatures that I have never owned. I for a while, several years ago, I was going through a lot of the classics like Frankenstein, Dracula, and would go through them almost like yearly or every 2 years or something like that. But no, this is never one that I had, honestly.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, same here. I had some sort of like truncated like kids version or whatever when I was a kid, but it wasn't the Washington Irving thing, and I've never read it.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to, honestly, because I mean, having this year in particular dipped a little bit deeper into the Sleepy Hollow lore, or at least interpretations, than usual. I just kind of want to know what the original was like at this point, because I feel like I'm seeing a lot of offshoots. But yeah, Bob, you no?
I'd never read it, and I'd never seen this before either.
Oh, really?
No.
What?
Yeah, I'd never.
Were you never in did you never have a substitute in your class, or what?
My teachers were reliable, so they always showed up for work. I guess.
I doubt it. I know you're a Florida public school kid like me. There's no way.
Yeah, they probably showed us something that was like highly inappropriate instead of something sweet. Honestly, this
kids like Fast and the Furious.
This short is like kind of, it's about this womanizing piece of shit, and I was like taken aback when it started. I was like, this guy's an asshole. He's just like swindling all these women for food, and he even like steals food from the kids' lunch boxes and shit. This is not at all what I was expecting when I put this fucking thing on. I couldn't believe it. To
be honest,
packing some heat is all I gotta say.
Dude, something's going on. But I watched this again for the first time. I was either last year or the year before. I was like, man, I'm going to throw on old Sleepy Hollow. I hadn't seen that in a hot minute. And I was surprised, too. I was like, whoa, this is like a dude, man. And they like make no bones about it, kind of. You know, he's going to the mom's groups. He's got his little calendar where he's got all the mom's names.
It's a fucking asshole.
He is an asshole. And like the thing is, like 99% of this show, like I always think of this as the last 5 minutes of the short.
Yeah, me
4
too.
Minutes even. Like that's the part, that's what you're in for.
Yeah.
But like the whole lead up, I remembered like him being kind of like, I don't know, I didn't really like that guy. Like I don't like Ichabod. And this is why, is this short is like watching it, I was like, yeah, this is why he's just like stealing food. And I think that's just like a stand-in because Walt Disney Productions is not going to show him going full Pepe Le Pew on all the ladies in town.
All the
necessarily.
moms.
He gets close.
This show has a little bit of mean-spiritedness to it because it's also kind of like cruel to the women in the show. Like there's that one woman who's treated like a little gremlin who's just lonely, and it's sad.
Yeah, that is rough.
That is the one. Yeah, I took a note of that. Is the one that always makes my heart sink. I specifically remember it happening like when I revisit again of that poor woman at the dance.
She just wants to dance the jitterbug.
Yeah, and she like looks over and she's treated as like, ugh, you know. I'm like, oh, which there's
and then she's used after that.
That's going to be kind of a theme tonight, honestly, because there's a lot of mean-spirited going on in these old school cartoons that make you feel like, damn, you little shit.
You know, tricks don't have to be this mean, guys. Just, you know, come on. What the fuck?
A lot of.
I thought you think of. Sorry, go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to quickly mention a lot of like Christmas movies are that way too. They're like very dark and like twisted in a way that you might not anticipate. I guess Halloween makes a little more sense, but like this is kids stuff. Yeah. So it took me by surprise. Yeah.
I don't mind like the twisted dark stuff, but like that's not, I wouldn't characterize that as dark. I just characterize it as mean spirited. And it's just like, that's not what I'm in the Halloween spirit for. Like if you're going to be mean, it's like, I don't know, it's a service of justice you want, not the opposite.
And that does come about in the end where, I mean, if you do believe that he ends up getting killed by the Headless Horseman, like he gets his just desserts Brahms.
But Brahms
doesn't really. Yeah, and he's a piece of shit too. Better, I guess, comparatively, but still not.
Only because we aren't like spending lengths of time examining him the way we are Ichabod. He's mostly just a romantic rival.
Yeah.
And like, I love the way that like Ichabod gets the better of him or whatever, because in my mind, he fills a Gaston role, even though we really don't see that much of him doing that. He was a pillar of the community. People trusted him, all this stuff. And they didn't show him doing a whole lot of bad things until he started like really using this woman and really like lusting after this woman and trying the other one. What's her name? Katrina, thank you. He starts really going after her, and then he starts using other people to get back at Ichabod and blah, 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 all that stuff. I just like it's not great, but Ichabod definitely comes off worse.
Yeah.
Definitely. Well, also, his perspective too of kind of lusting after Katrina, where we see he's lusting after her money. He's like, ooh. I think like the narration of this is pretty good too, or whatever. But yeah, he's looking, the lettuce like turns into like green money or whatever, and then maybe the corn or something turns into gold, whatever. But yeah, he's definitely after her in part, for her money, and imagining himself sitting in like her father's seat and shit. And it's pretty.
He is a total fucking creep. He reminds me of like what's his name? Gyllenhaal in Nightcrawler. He's just this like lanky son of a bitch who just plasters on a smile the whole time. He's fucking you, like he fucks you over with a smile. It's grotesque in a way. And yeah, you're right. Like I had forgotten all of that bit about her money and all that stuff. That's what you would think that narratively you would want to put into the mouth of your villain character, Brom. But you don't. He actually might care about Katrina at least a little bit.
Yeah. The character of Ichabod reminded me a lot of the priest in The Sopranos. The character like famously like spends a lot of time with these married women.
That's right, like, and they're always making him lasagna and shit. Yeah.
And he's constantly eating these delicious looking Italian meals that they bring to him, and he's like going over to their houses and like inviting himself in and drinking their wine and eating all their food and stuff, and he like clearly is attracted to these women but can't do anything about it. So it's this weird sexual tension that is like fulfilled by him eating all this food and stuff. It really reminded me a lot of this character.
That's interesting. I haven't seen enough of that show to recognize that character for sure, but man, the food is definitely a surrogate for sex in this short.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't know that Nat King Cole like
eat her later
narrated and like sang songs and stuff for this. That was
Bing Crosby.
That is not correct. Yeah.
Bing Crosby.
We are both not on the level today.
Nope.
It's like Nat King Cole did not.
That's a wildly different figure.
That's why it was so surprising to me, because that was wrong information that I read on the computer.
Wow.
Bing Crosby.
You were misinformed. That's what happened. Someone else got it wrong.
Somebody else did.
Which his voice, his voice, and then also the autumn colors. I mean, this is really what kind of hits home for me, to the point where the thing is I have no idea where I was watching this as a kid, because I'd never seen the first one, like the Mr. Toad portion of it. And I've never seen it, but I had seen this several times as a kid, to the point where, we grew up in Florida, so it didn't have any of the kind of traditional autumn vibes going on. And this is kind of like what existed in my mind, to the point of, I remember one of the very first times like we actually traveled to the mountain, like the Smoky Mountains or something, for autumn. And I was specifically looking for some kind of bridge that existed like that exists in this. The covered bridge over the river or the brook or whatever. And so the imagery in this now is like so Americana to me. The shapes of the buildings and the quaint little autumn town or whatever. It just I don't know. It just kind of lives in my memory as like picturesque autumn, pretty much.
For sure.
I didn't get it. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I'll say I didn't get a ton of that, honestly, until the last maybe 5 or 8 minutes or so. Like when they get to the party and they start like there's a couple pumpkins laying around, I guess, before then. But like when they start telling the spooky stories and they go out, and then it feels like real fall to me. But up until then, I don't know that I got.
Well, the last part's definitely Halloween with the pumpkins, but I mean, they do like rolling into the town. The trees have the autumn colors, like the autumn colors of the nature in the town like exist. But yeah, it's definitely more of the Halloween vibe.
And I mean, this is certainly the best animation we're going to talk about tonight, like in terms of like actual animation. Like it's very clean, it's very beautiful, it's Disney's standard for that era, which was the gold standard and frequently was over the years. So, it's got that really beautiful painted matte painting background, all that stuff. So yeah, there's definitely some fall vibes, but more than anything, to me, it's just got like beautiful animation. So I love that about it. And like the way that like the characters move are very expressive, especially Ichabod. Dude, I'll tell you, when he's getting chased, it's a really funny segment. Like it's obviously meant to be, but like it's positioned as scary, but you're also like laughing at it a little bit. But I laughed extra hard because I forgot just how deep into that horse's ass Ichabod puts his whole face on multiple occasions throughout the run of this chase. He's like riding with his nose in the crack of the ass. God. You guys notice that? Like,
I did not.
Not particularly, no.
Dude, I was like, that is a horse's asshole you're riding, my guy. You need to maybe just get yourself back up or let it go. Take the loss.
Damn.
Maybe he likes what he's smelling.
Yeah.
At that point, do you even really want your head anymore after it's been sullied by horse anus?
I don't want my head anymore.
Take it away.
Well, so there's kind of 2 main songs in this. Bob, as someone who never grew up with this, what did you think about the songs? How do those hit you?
The one at the end, like about the Headless Horseman, really stood out to me. I thought it was super cool. I was a big fan of that one. The other one did. I don't even remember what it sounds like, honestly, but I definitely remember.
It's just like Ichabod Crane. Ichabod.
Oh yeah.
Ichabod Crane.
Yeah, that one really didn't do anything for me. But the Headless Horseman one was. You can't reason with a Headless Horseman. Like I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good. I like that song better, like just on its face. But the Ichabod Crane song is the one that I always remembered. But hearing it back, it's like a little different than I remembered it. I was a little surprised. Like, man, this is not exactly like in my head. It sounds different, and so now I know that I got Mandela affected out of that. So, and then there's also the Brahms song when he's like singing the ghost story. I like that too. But yeah, you're right that the Headless Horseman, like whatever fanfare at the end is the good shit out of it. But
That's
Bing Crosby, he's got the pipes. That's why they hired him. He does a good
King
job
Cole,
overall.
man,
Old King Cole.
He's singing about those wispy willows.
Nail it.
It's only a matter of time.
We are on
this up. We're gonna get the hat trick.
Just gonna get his, and
we're going for the hat trick.
Just
going for the turkey, people.
Just wait.
Yeah, no, big. I don't know. Like, and it was interesting to me that they had Basil Rathbone for "Wind in the Willows" or the Mr. Toad segment, the "Wind in the Willows" segment, and then like they matched accents to where those stories are from. I kind of like that about it. I have actually never seen the Mr. Toad segment. I've ridden the ride in California, but I'd never seen the segment, and I actually did not have time to watch it this time. So
yeah, I still haven't either. Yeah,
the tradition of just not seeing it is totally
keep it alive.
Set in. But I did like fast forward through a couple segments of it or a couple seconds of it, and Basil Rathbone is on that, and then they're like, "But over here in the Americas, we also had a figure or two." And then old Bing Baba boos his way through Ichabod Crane. It's pretty great.
Well, yeah, and one thing I like about this too is it was written the original story, and they kind of open up with like the book and stuff opening up, which is cool. But it was written by Washington Irving, who was born in New York, in like the Manhattan area or whatever. So probably spent like a decent amount of time in this kind of area, so that he wrote a story about that kind of like folklore. And as I said, it's kind of this Americana, and really in my mind, this, even though I never read the story, I guess this short is what brought this to my attention as a child and continually lived in my mind as this American type of creature, so that's cool. I don't know, there's something kind of special about that. You got your
it's nice to have
Draculas and your Frankensteins. Yeah, it's good to have a monster.
Nice to have like your little like monster cryptid sort of thing. We got our Bigfoot, and that's the big one around the Americas, really. But there are a few extras. Yeah, Jersey Devil. Like obviously there's countless in truth, but as far as like the upper echelons, like the Headless Horseman. Headless Horseman is kind of a big one that you don't always necessarily think about right away. Yeah. So it's nice to get back into it in the holiday season. And you're totally right. Like this, I don't think I would have ever heard of the Headless Horseman without this short. I feel like that's true of like a lot of people. I don't think that the Tim Burton movie gets made without that. I don't think that any of that shit happens without them first making this womanizing creep into a cartoon.
Yeah. It is a super, super cool like idea for a monster, like riding around with jack-o'-lanterns. Like it's like super like terrifying, but really cool and specifically related to Halloween in a way that a lot of other creatures just really aren't. I think it delivers on that like Pumpkinhead, situation where like the movie Pumpkinhead might not really.
What?
Spoiler alert! Damn,
it's badass. I'm just letting the people know. Listen to our review on Pumpkinhead.
Bob, did you ever? You were a Rocco's Modern Life guy, right? When you were a kid.
Yeah.
Juice, were you? I don't know if we ever talked about it. Okay. Do you remember the play on this that they had with the hopping Hessian, the one-legged ghost?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's so good. That's going to go on one of our other special episodes in the future for sure. Nice. It fucking rules. All right, I'll keep the spoilers free then.
Cool.
Do you guys have any other major things you want to touch on with this before we rate it?
I think I'm fine to rate it.
Okay, let's roll into it. Juice, this was yours. Why don't you want to kick us off with it?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, this is something that I grew up with, and I think in a lot of ways established some, important spooky things in my mind. As we said, it's nice to kind of look back and reflect on having this kind of American style creature, especially that's so tied with the ideas of like autumn and Halloween, the jack-o'-lantern head. I like the way that it kind of plays out with this ambiguous ending. It's probably one of the first kind of times I saw stuff like this as a kid, where the story's kind of left up in the air and, did he die? Didn't he? Or like, where is he? And just that kind of that tradition. And that's kind of the tradition of like folklore in itself. It's like, what happened? And leaving that kind of mystery open. It's pretty cool. Like I said, I like the autumn colors in this. It established a lot of things that I just never seen before and was like kind of fell in love with in my heart, even though I never experienced them. So all from like the short. Yeah, it's I remember being surprised that a lot of the spooky vibes and all the dark stuff doesn't come until the second half, and even less than that. Through a lot of this short, a lot of it is just Ichabod being a fucking dog, man, and schmoozing the ladies, getting the food. So yeah, that's not so great. I mean, even just not even about like what's going on, but just like, okay, I want to get to the spooky stuff, get me there. But once they get to the dance, I think it's pretty funny. I think it's hilarious that he's still just pounding cake while he's dancing at the fucking thing. I really felt so bad and hate about the situation of the dance. That woman's so sad, and I don't know, it just makes me feel really bad. I like the song that Brahms sings. Good Halloween song. The chase is fun. I like the old school like Foley, the like or even when he hears the beating on the log or whatever. I don't know. Yeah, just all those little kind of like,
or whatever.
Yeah, old school sound effects were really fun. And this is a classic in my mind. But going back as an adult, I was like, oh yeah, this dude, he kind of a piece of shit. And honestly, the kind of back and forth between him and Brahm is not anything special. I like Randy remember the Ichabod Crane, but when I listened to the song, I was like, oh shit, like this isn't that great. So yeah, I mean, it lives in my mind as like a classic, but you know, on further evaluation, it's like it got some problems and it doesn't hold up as like engrossing as an adult. I think it's definitely really good for kids, but as an adult watching it, I don't know. I think I'll give it like a 3.5. I think it's still solid. It's one now that I've watched at least like I think 2 years in a row that I don't necessarily know if I need to watch it again next year. You know, I could probably put this one away for a while, and I don't feel like the need to watch it every year for Halloween now. So yeah, 3.5.
That's a rare gem for a holiday special for you.
I know.
You really got your list runs deep.
Yeah. Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put Sleepy Hollow?
Yo. Yeah, this was a shock for me because I'd seen the Tim Burton movie, and like that was in my mind like the tale of Sleepy Hollow, and this is very, very different. The same names are used, and of course, like the Headless Horseman does show up eventually, but the main story is entirely different. So, I like the animation. I didn't get like the hardcore fall vibes that you mentioned, like you appreciated throughout the entirety of it. I kind of wanted just a little more from that, and then the Halloween stuff does come in at the end, which I think is easily the best part of it. And I wish maybe that came in a little sooner. There's maybe too much setup for Ichabod. And I guess they didn't want to just have like the Headless Horseman running around like killing folks because it's a kid's story or whatever. So like you just end it with that. So it makes sense. But even like the spooky campfire tale before that happens, like maybe a little more of that like atmosphere kind of stuff, and a little less of this dude just being a complete asshole to everybody around him and taking advantage of these kind folks that he just met. He just moved in their town, is immediately just like taking full advantage of them and their children. It just kind of is a bummer to watch. And then the end is just like the last 5 minutes are super dope. I really like that, actually. The songs are fine. I really like the end song. But I don't know that this necessarily like gives me what I really want around Halloween season. I don't know that I'll need to rewatch it. Because most of it's just a bummer. The vast majority of it's a bummer, and you don't get much like Halloween or fall out of it for me anyways. So I didn't really love it that much. I guess I like respect its influence, and like it's important that it exists, and the character of the Headless Horseman is super interesting and awesome. But I'm gonna come like right down the middle with a 2.5 for this one. Randeezy, how about you?
Yeah, I'm largely in agreement with the both of you. I think that this is like, it's weird because I have such fond memories of watching this as a kid. In particular, that wasn't like just a line about the substitute teacher thing. I feel like I watched this in a classroom setting at least 3 times, like maybe 3 or 4 years in a row, and just the Sleepy Hollow bit, not the whole thing. Never the whole thing. For some reason, that's just what the teachers did. And it became a little mini tradition for me that I didn't really keep up with it as I grew necessarily, but I kept fondly. And yeah, it's got problems ultimately. Like I remember thinking Ichabod was kind of like not that great of a character. Like I was not that drawn to him as a character even as a kid. And looking back, I think the reason why is that he's just like a self-interested piece of shit. Like that's really what it seems like. And the characters are pretty flat, which is a shame because this comes from literature. You got to think that there's more to these characters than what's depicted here for sure, and that's why I'm so curious. But as far as the good goes, like there's a lot of good here too. Like as much as I don't love how little time we spend on the spooky stuff, I do love the spooky stuff when it rolls around. As much as I am kind of between you guys about how much fall vibes are in this, I think it's kind of somewhere in the middle where like there is a lot of it present, but not a lot of it hits me all that well. It hits me all that directly for the duration. Like there's moments that hit me, but the duration is kind of filled with some stuff that maybe there's a pumpkin around, maybe not, whatever. It doesn't really like strike that tone all consistently for me. The end is really what this thing is about. That's what the kids wanted to see. That's what I want to see as a big kid now. And so, I really love the animation. It's beautiful animation. The matte paintings, the character design, the way everything bounces is like, it's very like classic animation. And I love that shit. So, I'm very into that. I love the character design of the Headless Horseman. Love it so much. But yeah, like just watching it, it's hard to root for anybody. And I feel like Bob said, if they had spent more time, like set up the ghost story early and I don't know, show Ichabod in a couple different lights maybe, or make Gunpowder the hero somehow or something, like give us somebody to latch onto, give us some intrigue throughout that's more than just like laying groundwork for this character that ultimately, like, you know, may or may not get his head knocked off. I don't know. Bing Crosby does a good job with what he's got. I don't know much about that guy, and this is probably the okay, sure. I don't know much about that guy, but you know, this is what stands out to me as being Bing Crosby is this short. So I enjoy that. I enjoy the sound effects. I enjoy the visuals. I enjoy all that stuff. Not going to be a consistent yearly watch, but if it's ever on, you know, I won't turn it off. I won't turn my nose at it. So I'm going to go with Juice with a 3.5 as well.
Right on. That's going to put our aggregate at a 3.2. So let us continue on our journey. Next up, right. We're talking about It's the Great Pumpkin, Charlie motherfucking Brown.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, I think you're handling this one. You want to regale us?
I shall indeed.
Regale.
So this, It's a Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown. It is from 1966 and is 25 minutes long. This was a made-for-TV movie, or really it's a short. I don't know that I'd call it a movie, but that's what IMDb says. This was written by Charles Schultz, and I have the plot synopsis here. You've seen this before, right? This is not a first time.
I have, yeah.
Oh yeah, many a time.
I figured as much. The Charlie Brown holiday episodes tend to be frequently visited by folks. So I've got the plot synopsis provided by Wikipedia. Thank you so much, Wikipedia. Let's get into it. Linus and Lucy Van Pelt go to a pumpkin patch where they select a pumpkin and bring it home. Linus is upset when Lucy begins carving it for a jack-o'-lantern. Later, Charlie Brown rakes leaves with Snoopy, only to have Linus jump in the pile. Lucy offers to hold a football for Charlie Brown to kick it, but she pulls it away and causes him to land on his back. Linus works on a letter to the Great Pumpkin, to the derision of other characters, but Sally Brown takes interest in the idea. Charlie Brown then shows up to announce that he was invited to a Halloween party hosted by Violet. Lucy assumes the invitation was sent by mistake. On Halloween night, the children prepare their costumes for trick-or-treating. On the way, they stop at a pumpkin patch to jeer at Linus for missing the festivities. Linus persuades Sally, due to her infatuation with him, to join him. The other children go on trick-or-treating, but Charlie Brown is disappointed when he only gets rocks. Snoopy, dressed as a flying ace from World War I, climbs aboard his doghouse and imagines that it is a Sopwith Camel fighter plane, and that he is engaging in a dogfight with the unseen Red Baron. Snoopy is then shown crashing and navigating the countryside behind enemy lines. After going to the pumpkin patch to tease Linus and Sally again, the children go to Violet's Halloween party. The girls ask Charlie Brown to serve as their model, initially to his delight, then embarrassment, when they use the back of his head to canvas potential jack-o'-lantern designs. Snoopy's voyage ends at Violet's party. He sneaks into the apple bobbing tank with Lucy while Lucy's bobbing for apples, and then becomes emotional listening to Schroeder playing on the piano. In the pumpkin patch, Linus sees a figure and he faints, believing it to be the Great Pumpkin. The figure is Snoopy, and Sally yells at Linus for embarrassing her. At 4 a.m., Lucy retrieves the sleeping Linus from the pumpkin patch, leads him into the house, and puts him to bed. Charlie Brown and Linus commiserate about Halloween the next day. Charlie Brown attempts to console Linus by explaining that he has done many stupid things in his life. Linus is offended by Charlie Brown's remark and loudly proclaims that the Great Pumpkin will surely come to the pumpkin patch next year. Because it's so sincere.
Of course, he's going to find a more sincere one.
The most sincere pumpkin patch.
I don't know how. Where are you going to find one more sincere than that? I ask you.
I don't know, dude.
There's no hypocrisy around there.
I love that that's the metric.
Do you see any hypocrisy?
Like, for some reason, you're not going to get visited unless you're in the most sincere pumpkin patch.
That shit's gold. It really, that idea is so fantastic because it's like, what the fuck? But also, I remember, I think I started revisiting this again when I started teaching because I think it was one that, Halloween's up, it's safe for kids to show. So I would show it. And I remember being like, kind of really paying attention. Like, I'm showing this to kids. I got to make sure this is okay. But then also to, it's second language kids. So I'm thinking like, well, what are they, what would they pick up on this? And I was like, whoa, this is kind of potent what's going on here. And just the whole idea of Linus, I actually think it's pretty effective in its ideas of, because it outright states too, he writes a letter to the Great Pumpkin that looks exactly like a letter to Santa Claus. And everyone just shits on him for believing essentially the same exact thing that they believe, but it's just for a different character. So and then he even drops a line of like, never discuss religion, politics, and the Great Pumpkin or whatever.
I love that, dude.
But that is such a potent statement in a way on religion of, you dumb motherfucking piece of shit. You are so fucking stupid.
Did you say this exactly to your kids when you were teaching them?
Exactly, yeah. But just
they learned a lot that day.
The way that everyone shits on him for this belief that is their belief just for a different holiday is yeah.
That's interesting. An interesting way of looking at it. I think maybe that's I don't see that on its face necessarily. Because because just nuts and bolts, there's a whole industry surrounding Santa Claus. This kid has almost certainly never received toys on Halloween.
Yeah.
And is still doing this. So I don't know, the derision is fucked up, of course, but I'm going to go into that in a second. But I don't know, he doesn't really have any reason to believe this, whereas a kid who believes in Santa does so because he receives presents once a year, or he or she, there's at least something happening, but nothing must have happened in his however many years of life, as far as we know, anyway. So it just seems very random and strange. But as far as people being mean to him, they're very mean to him, especially his sister, who is a piece of shit. And I every time I watch a Charlie Brown special, there's only really 4 that I was really familiar with growing up. The Christmas special, this one not so much. This was later in life for me a little bit, probably in high school or late high school or something. And then the Thanksgiving special, which I always loved because I just loved the idea of popcorn and jelly beans for Thanksgiving. For some reason, that always made me laugh. And then there's a summer camp one that he did. And all of those, especially in this one and the Christmas one, as far as my memory serves anyway, they treat Charlie Brown like absolute fucking dog shit. Yeah. This is how school shooters are made. This is fucked up.
Damn.
They treat him like absolute dog shit. The rocks. Why are these adults all giving this young child rocks? What is it? I don't understand.
Funny,
it's so mean.
Yeah, everybody is really fucking mean to this kid and to Linus. Actually, they're both getting shit on pretty hard throughout this.
But
whole
at least
short.
Linus is acting in some way. Charlie Brown is psyched to just get an invitation to a party, and Lucy's like, "Well, it must have been a mistake."
That was an accident.
Fucking shits down his throat. It's really fucked up.
Well, I like it also, too, because in any other scene where they're not having to interact directly with Charlie Brown and treat him like shit, they're acting like normal kids. Oh, let's go trick or treat. Let's bob for apples. Even Lucy, who's a huge piece of shit, it's like, hey, can I get...
You're despicable.
Can I get some extra candy for my brother and stuff like that? So they're acting like kids, but I think I would assume that it's kind of maybe a commentary on kids in general, or just how we see kids, of saying oh, kids, they're so sweet and stuff like that. But kids can be real pieces of shit.
Yeah. Oh, for
I
sure.
think that is Charlie Brown's character, is to not necessarily be shat upon, but certainly he's the lovable loser.
Yeah.
He's that's kind of the role he fills, where it's and I think Charles Schultz saw himself that way. So it's almost like a self-deprecating thing in some sense, I feel like. But just watching it without really having that context or whatever, it really it makes me feel more than just oh, here's the put upon guy who has to keep a stiff upper lip while people aren't so nice to him. No, these people are actively mean to him. They're just shy of like beating the shit out of him every day. Like it's really, it gets pretty hard for this show, for this franchise that is like so sweet in every other way, like so saccharine, sweet, childlike, to just like be so cruel to this character. It's not just, if it was just Lucy, it would make sense to me, but it's fucking everybody. It's adults. It's everybody.
The football gag, apparently this was the first like animated version of it. This was this one, which it's like fucking famous now. That happens apparently several times. And I don't know how
non-notarized document.
I don't know how accurate this is, but a piece of the trivia I found was that all the kids, like when this first aired in the 60s, the kids that watched felt so bad for Charlie Brown that they like tried to mail him candy. I guess they sent it to Schultz. I don't know where they would have sent it, but that's
really
sweet
adorable.
If true. I love to hear that.
Yeah,
he got his candy.
That's very
after
sweet.
all.
And maybe that's a good way to, now it's a weird thing because you show this and then like these kids feel bad for Charlie Brown, and that's a great reaction. And so is it this way to almost teach empathy in a way, to like feel bad for people? And would it be better for you to show a cartoon where a bunch of kids act like pieces of shit and let real kids learn empathy through that? Or do you make a strong, firm message of no, everyone is included, or I don't know.
Sure, but I think like that logic holds up if you're watching the Christmas special where he learns a lesson and everybody does something nice for him at the end. There's no coming to Jesus moment in this show. Everybody remains a piece of shit to both him and Linus in this. So I don't see it as like a parable that comes to conclusion, if anything.
What I would take from this, if anything, is like just the Linus's like steadfastness in his faith and his belief and his hope that he's gonna see the great pumpkin. Like you're gonna get kicked in the teeth or whatever, but like keep on keeping on, kind of thing. I like respect at the end that he's like, next year I'm gonna fucking make it happen. You just watch.
Really? Yeah. I don't know. I think that's why this short is so interesting, especially watching as adult, because there's a couple aspects of that. I also kind of like wanted to touch on Sally and how she gets pulled into the belief and her reactions to the belief and stuff like that. But I think a little bit of the problem is Linus is not able to, his anger at the end is kind of what's troubling. It's because he's like, how dare you think I'm stupid? How dare you think that this is a waste of time for me? It's not. And I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to fucking show you that this is right. And so in some ways you can admire, his tenacity and his, dedication to what he believes, but it's portrayed in kind of a toxic way of like we said, there's absolutely no evidence for it. You have gone through this. At least this is at least the second time, because Lucy says not again, not like last year or whatever. And you treat people's skepticism or questioning with pure anger, and it's like, I'm gonna fucking show you.
I would not say just skepticism or questioning. They're fucking mean as shit about it.
But not Charlie Brown at the end.
No, well, he does say, "Don't worry, man. I've done tons of stupid shit in my day." Basically, calling Linus stupid. So, like, kind of, yeah.
I mean, in a sympathetic kind of way, they're like, I've done, I made some mistakes.
Nobody catches it worse than Charlie. Is the thing? Like, this, and also like, and I know I don't expect congruity between the characters in different specials or whatever, like a little bit, but like a little variance is to be expected. But Linus is also like the keeper of the Christmas story, who like really knows what he believes. He's the mystic. He's like, in that one, he's like the keeper of the true tale, and he's completely confident in that, and he doesn't need to show it off. He just says it. In this, he's kind of the opposite. He's really got a chip on his shoulder, and not undeservedly, I don't think. But it is kind of like, it just feels incongruent. It's like, this is the same kid who could just like silently walk onto a stage and then like get everybody to stop being a dick to this kid for 5 minutes for the first time in his life. Like, I don't know. He just feels very different in this. And not very, it's just, the attitude is a little different. And I like it better in the Christmas version because it ultimately ends on a positive note for everybody, not just for one kid.
I've never seen that one. I need to.
You've never seen Christmas
You've never
Special?
seen the Christmas? Really?
No.
What are you?
I don't know how you
your
avoided that,
childhood?
honestly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what?
Sorry.
This
Damn.
That's why that
watching
blows
Natural
my
Born
mind.
Killers instead.
Yeah, watching Natural Born Killers. You are correct in that.
Damn, dude. Huh? Okay.
It's like it's not that it's like required viewing necessarily. Right?
Yeah.
It's just that it's shocking that anybody
It
could have
is,
avoided
yeah.
it. Like very impressive.
Something.
Yeah, because go ahead.
I was just something that is kind of a bummer that, like, you know, we're talking about Linus's belief and stuff like that, but something that is kind of a bummer, and the title kind of sets you up to expect potentially seeing this like Great Pumpkin character that he's talking about and stuff. In the end, it doesn't happen. It's kind of a letdown. One of the pieces of trivia that I did find was again, I don't know how accurate this is, but the writer Ray Bradbury and his daughter were watching the premiere of this in 1966, and I guess this is part of his biography. He went on to say he and his daughter were so disappointed by there being no Great Pumpkin that at the end of the show, his daughter got up and kicked the television. He was so frustrated that he was then inspired to write the Halloween tree. Apparently,
That's awesome.
That
I
is
love that,
cool.
dude.
yeah,
Bradbury, fuck yeah, dude. That
Yeah,
guy's
Bradbury kicks ass.
fuck,
he's
yeah.
pretty rad. I don't want to know anymore because I'm going to find out something to hate, and I don't.
Well, yeah.
I don't want it.
Do no research.
Love what I
That
know.
man's art kicks ass. Yeah.
Yes. That's a great
Yeah.
story.
It is. Well, also, so going off the belief system too, I want to come back to Sally. So Sally's the other kind of character in this, and she doesn't know anything about it. She is young and naive, and she's looking forward to going out trick-or-treating for the first time and go to a Halloween party. But because of her interest in Linus, she sticks around. In some ways, she like kind of feels bad for him. She's also just like interested in him. And then she gets mad about it too. Like, you tricked me, you son of a bitch. You robbed me. That kind of attitude was potent for me too. Cause I'm like, yeah, I mean, she made the decision, you know, people were even telling her, don't believe this stupid son of a bitch. Come with us or whatever. And her just feeling robbed and cheated. And I don't know. It's very interesting. I don't know.
She's very two-faced about it too, because when the kids come back by the pumpkin patch, she's like defending him for a second, and then as soon as they leave, she turns around, she's like, you better fucking deliver. And it's like, damn, like, do you really want to be there? Like, what are you
also
doing?
that anger again too, her anger, like, you're gonna see, like, it's infectious in this kind of way where she's like, she can't stand the idea that she was wrong, or even that people told her she was wrong. Like, hey, you know, I know you're naive, I know you're young, like, you know, come trick-or-treating with us. He's done this before. The Great Pumpkin never showed up. She chooses because she likes him, and she gets mad about it and feels robbed, even though, yeah, like you said, her attitude was, no, he is right. You are all wrong, and you're gonna pay, and you're gonna see.
I believe she even says exactly like, I have a reputation to uphold or on the line or something like that, and which is fucking ridiculous for a kid to think about or say. But like, that is absolutely like why she's like, because she made her decision and she's afraid to like double back on it, so she double downs on it and then says, "Oh, you better fucking deliver." It's a crazy thing to. I don't know.
I think it's all for laughs, that stuff. To me, like, her role is like, she's supposed to be saying things that kids wouldn't say necessarily. Like, there's definitely, like, that's some of the biggest humor in these Charlie Brown specials, is that like the kids act like very much like kids a lot of the times, and then they'll say something like, wow, this is a real signed document, and then they'll suddenly like have like some tangential knowledge of the adult world that they'll try to apply, but they'll try to apply it to a way that serves them. And she's a kid. She's of course going to be pissed she missed out on trick or treats because she believed her boyfriend, her would-be boyfriend, and she throws a tantrum. I don't know. I think she's like, to call her two-faced, I think is a little far. She's very much acting like a kid. She's just using more adult language for comic sake.
Yeah.
Lucy, on the other hand, she should be tried as an adult.
Well,
Lucy's a cooter, and also Ichabod's a cooter. We're not going to do Cooter of the Week, but we need to go along and mention these people hit.
Lucy does like come like pull her brother out of the cold weather and like tuck him in at the end.
Yeah.
At least
She does. That is true. I forgot about that. I was actually really surprised to see that.
Yeah.
But like, and she's clearly not happy about it either, but like that's understandable. I don't know. Like they when they do give like these like very like wholesome moments or whatever, that's what keeps these things in rotation more than anything else, I think. Like, I don't know. I do wish there was a great pumpkin in here because, I mean, of course.
Pumpkins.
But
just wait till we get to The Simpsons season 19, we'll get there.
Jesus
eventually.
Christ. That waiting to hear the number was exhausting. Oh, Christ.
Oh, God. No. Please.
I'm going to. Wait till you see Simpsons Treehouse episode 53. It's the greatest. They do a parody of the global warming.
God damn. I think one other thing I wanted to touch on, I don't really love the whole dogfight, like World War I throwback thing.
I was going to mention that too.
It just feels very out of place in this story because this is very heavy into like the Halloween vibes, and then that just is a hard right turn and out of nowhere, and it kind of takes you out of the feel of the whole thing. I don't really like it much.
Snoopy is more icon than character. He's like that Mickey Mouse role kind of where like not so much that at this point, but he's like the whole joke of Snoopy is like dogs don't do that, and that's all. Like that's 99% of what it is. That and like harassing Lucy, which he's an ace for. Good for him. But like the fighter ace stuff or whatever, I think it's just supposed to be whimsical or whatever, and it just at least it never really hit me that way. I like it when he's like in the Christmas one, he's like setting up Christmas lights and doing things like that.
Yeah.
But in this, it like I understand it's an iconic moment for him too. Like the fighter pilot Snoopy is like one of the classic Snoopy like states of being. It's like Steamboat Willie, but like there's not anything all that interesting about it ultimately to me. So well.
I think this one dates it the most out of anything because I think at a time this might have been a type of character when this came out that, the
so
types
too,
of heroes that you had.
Well, the Red Baron was a known figure and not just a pizza box then.
Exactly.
What?
So that's the thing. I think this is one of those things that really takes it out because everybody's else dressed in some classic ghosts and witches, those kind of things. And so this would be like, in 20 years, if it was like, oh, he was an Iron Man, like nobody fucking watches Iron Man anymore in 50 years or whatever. It's just like
5 years.
Yeah, so I think this is I agree. This is the one that it just doesn't fit the rest of the vibes, and
it's not as timeless. That's true.
Yeah, it's not as timeless.
Yeah. Any other major points you guys want to touch on before we rate this thing?
No.
Nada. All right, let's do it. I'll go first since this was the one that I kind of was leading here. I like this one a lot. I do. So I didn't have any nostalgia for Legend of Sleepy Hollow. I definitely do have some nostalgia for this one. I think it really does deliver on like heavy Halloween vibes. I really love the opening credit sequence where it's got like the owls and the ghosties and the way that they're sort of overlaid with the jack-o'-lanterns and the music and everything. I think it just like really gets you in the mood for Halloween. And of course, like there's pumpkins everywhere. They're carving jack-o'-lanterns. They're making costumes. They're going trick-or-treating. They're going to a Halloween party. They're checking off all the things that like I kind of really would expect and hope to see in a Halloween short like this. I think the idea of like trying to create a Santa Claus like figure for Halloween is really interesting, even though like we don't see it happen in the short. I think that idea is really cool, and it kind of like reminds me a bit of Trick or Treat and like Sam and like that, even though it wouldn't be as evil if it actually did show up in freaking Peanuts, but it just reminded me of like that idea. Something that like really represents Halloween like Santa Claus does for Christmas is cool to ponder. I think this is fairly funny too. It's got a handful of solid jokes that, don't talk about politics, religion, or the Great Pumpkin. Also, Lucy says something like, you're supposed to pick a costume that is in direct contrast with your personality, and then she puts on like a witch's mask, like stuff like that. There's a couple pretty good gags in this. I think Charlie Brown getting rocks, as cruel as that is kind of funny though. Like he just can't get any fucking candy to save his life, the poor kid. The Red Baron thing is just, it feels kind of out of place. I wish they would have had Snoopy be like Dracula, or I don't know, some other like iconic character he could go and like daydream about, but do something kind of like more spooky. The like mean spiritedness is like kind of a bummer, and it was shocking because like I always knew it was there, but like I never thought about it much. But like, you know, we got to like actually review this thing and talk about it in depth. So like I just thought about it more. I was like, God damn, these kids are like really mean to each other, and it is a bummer. But I overall I dig this one quite a bit, and it is maybe not an annual watch, but like a fairly regular watch for me when Halloween rolls around. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5. Randy, what about you?
Yeah, so I'm starting this one relatively at a disadvantage because this is not one that I had particularly strong nostalgia vibes for. It was not something that I saw a whole lot growing up. I was strictly limited to the uber Christian Christmas special instead. So yeah, just this doesn't get the benefit of rose tinted glasses for me necessarily. I do think it's about on the same, pretty close to the same level of quality ultimately, like on an objective level. The animation is like, it's cheap animation. The character models go off model all the time, all this stuff. It's kind of charming in that sense, and it kind of makes sense for a comic strip, at least back then, to be represented that way. I don't know. On some level, it sort of makes sense because it feels painterly in a way. The background paintings are really beautiful, but very sparse and very like messy. I don't know. It's both. I like it, and it also feels cheap at the same time. It's kind of got both of those things going on. So from an animation perspective, there's that. From a story perspective, like I just feel like this kind of peters out a little bit. Like I understand, Juicy, what you were saying earlier about like thoughts about religion and all that stuff, but like ultimately, I just kind of think that it leaves things pretty unresolved. And on some level, that's fine because, again, this is a comic. These are comic strip characters written by the original creator. He knows the nuances of these characters, and it would make sense that he wouldn't necessarily think to slip all of those nuances into this one special. Like, he knows his characters back to front and maybe assumes that we all know him as well, too. I don't know. I think that's kind of a flaw, but I think it's understandable to some extent, too. The kids being mean or whatever just kind of sucks. If they had just rounded it out at the end with something nice, or with like some level of I don't know, if he and Linus had bonded over their mutual destruction over the holiday, that would have been something. But instead, they end up in a fight at the end, and it just, I don't know. I just really don't like the way that ends. I wish there had been a great pumpkin on one hand, and on the other hand, I do kind of like the disappointment of it all. I think that the gags are really great. Like Bob, you were saying, like the rock thing, the religion, politics, and Great Pumpkin thing, like all that stuff works, and that's all coming from like Charles Schultz's brain of daily comic gags. Like that's how the comics are, and I think this is a true representation of those comics in a lot of ways. So in that sense, I do really like this, and the fall vibes are good enough for me, if not perfect, that I will give it a 2.5. I think it's medium for me.
All right, Juice, what about you?
Yeah, so ever since I started showing this again and kind of revisited it, it has become an annual watch for me because and I think about it in like two ways. On its very like surface level vibes and everything that's going on the surface level, it's a great, just fun, quick, innocent kind of watch. It's got fantastic autumn colors. The pumpkin patch is fantastic. I agree with Bob. I absolutely love the intro. The kids like getting spooked in their costumes and running around. The music in this is fantastic. I love how the music pairs with everything. So that's a huge bonus. And again, you have all of these little, autumn moments, jumping into the leaves. I love the little Halloween party, even the backgrounds. There's this one crazy scared cat decoration or whatever. Just the backgrounds of some of these animations like look great, bobbing for apples. It's just got this really basic, innocent, nostalgic thing going on that just represents the season and the holiday very well on a very base level. I want to get into the mood of the season. On the other end too, I think I do not want a Great Pumpkin in this, because I think the whole idea of Peanuts and the idea of these kids kind of learning these adult lessons and not having the maturity or the mentality to put it together, but you as a viewer, especially when you're older, knowing it. And that's kind of how it works as a kid too. You watch it as a kid, you don't really think about how it's mean-spirited, and so when you watch it later, you're like, oh, it is really mean-spirited. But them learning these lessons about belief and skepticism and questioning and stuff like that, they're these kids. It's the same thing of, we don't get it in this, but of them, how they see adults. Wah, 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 wah. You know, their words are nothing. They're just falling on deaf ears in a way. And just these kids experiencing mature things and not processing them in a mature way, but also it being this kind of microcosm for what life is going to be later on. I really do think it's potent. I'm not trying to be like pretentious or anything. I really do think that there's some really great commentary here using kids to kind of show a thing that like they can't put the pieces together, but hopefully you can put the piece together. But ultimately, like, humans are still human. So I don't know. I like it
better.
Well, probably, but I agree about the flying ace bit. I don't really like it. I think it's pretty dated and just takes away from the overall Halloween and autumn vibes. It doesn't really fit. Yeah, just some of the lines in here. When are you going to stop believing in something that isn't true? And then him even writing the letter of saying, like, even if you're not real, don't tell me. I don't want to know. There's some good stuff in here. Charlie's little dance when he finds out that he gets the invitation is so precious. There's also little precious moments here too that I really like this, and really it's just the Baron thing that kind of like takes me out. This is an annual watch for me and has been for at least the past 6 years, I would say. I look forward to watching it every year. I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Wowzer. Very different pages. Yeah, I just don't see some of that stuff, but you know, people love this thing, so I think there is definitely like some like adult like it's a microcosm in a lot of ways. I just don't think it resolves itself as kind of my big crux, I guess. Anyway, not to backtrack.
With that 4.5, that's going to put the aggregate at a 3.7.
All right.
Cool. Let's keep rolling into our third animated short. We're talking about Bugs Bunny's Halloween special.
What's on the back of the box?
Randeezy, go nuts.
All right, you guys just went right into your synopsis, right?
Yeah, I gave the date, the runtime.
Let's just do it.
Mine, whatever.
I'm not a concise writer, so I'm just going to jump right into that shit. Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
Here we go. It's a long one because it's a tough one to keep track of. Bugs Bunny's Howl-oween. Now, what I did not know when we selected these, we thought this was going to be like Witch Hazel, like shorts, like the classic shorts. It's really like a repackaged or like horribly spliced monstrosity version of those specials, or those shorts rather. So here's how they wrote this together. We open on Daffy Duck's nephew, who's trick-or-treating and becomes terrified when Witch Hazel opens the door. Daffy insists witches and goblins aren't real and drags his nephew to confront Witch Hazel, convinced it will prove him right. Meanwhile, Bugs Bunny is also trick-or-treating and rings Witch Hazel's door dressed as a witch. She mistakes him as one of her own and invites him in for tea, but Bugs gets scared and decides to leave. Witch Hazel demands he stay for tea, but Bugs says he only drinks tea that his doctor prescribes because it has more pizzazz, of course. It cuts to a Dr. Jekyll's office, where the doctor is experimenting with his transformation formula and transforms into Mr. Hyde. Sylvester, sleeping on the sill of the office, has a nightmare of Tweety ingesting the same formula, and comic madness ensues. When he awakes, he is terrified of the harmless little Tweety bird. Bugs arrives at the office, and after much confusion surrounding Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and who's who, he walks out with the formula, thinking it to be the tea that he spoke of earlier. Back at Witch Hazel's house, he decides to drink the formula and transforms himself into a beast. Witch Hazel, unimpressed, returns him to normal and knocks him out. She prepares him as the main ingredient of her next potion. When Bugs realizes he's in literal hot water, he runs away to a nearby Gothic castle, and Witch Hazel chases him unsuccessfully. Back at Witch Hazel's house, Witch Hazel encounters Speedy Gonzales and decides to use him as her exact double so she can go to Hawaii and relax. She tricks Speedy into ingesting a potion that physically changes him into her and then fucks off to a tropical island. Daffy Duck then arrives, intending to apologize for what he believes to be a lonely old woman for his nephew's crassness. Speedy gives him tea, which transforms him into a weird mutant creature. Witch Hazel returns in time to change both Speedy and Daffy back to their original forms, and they bolt out of her home. After an indeterminate amount of time, Bugs arrives again at Witch Hazel's house and taunts her magical feats as being lame. Hazel then transforms her home into a hotel where Porky Pig and his cat Sylvester, who does not talk anymore, stops in for the night. Sylvester continually sees scary sights that Porky never notices, and eventually he runs away screaming. And I guess Porky does too. We don't know. Bugs and Hazel continue to taunt one another, and Bugs offers Hazel some of his transformation formula. She turns into a vampire who stalks Bugs as he explores Hazel's spooky home. Bugs reads a magic book for laughs and accidentally uncovers magic words that transforms Hazel back and forth between a bat and a vampire with painful results. Eventually, Bugs transforms her into normal. She gives chase, but Bugs comes across an emergency magic powder supply, and he flings it at her, and it turns her into, wouldn't you guess, a sexy bunny rabbit who Bugs goes off to bang. Finish.
Hell, I gotta say something about that. I gotta say, since we're on that topic of the ending, so this is composed of this is cut together from 9 different Looney Tunes horror shorts or whatever, that are all about 6 to 7 minutes, and that ending of her, I think that one is from Bewitched Bunny. I'm not 100% sure. It could be Broomstick Bunny as well. One of those, but they changed it. So in this one, at the end, he says something like, who wants to be alone on Halloween? Ha ha ha, or whatever. In the original one, he says something. He looks at the camera and he goes, what? Aren't all women witches on the inside anyways? Or something. And I was like, what the fuck?
Shit.
God damn. Looney Tunes, man.
Savage.
They just let loose on some of that shit. And this one was not free of that. There were moments in this that were definitely dated, but like that is hilarious that they saw fit to remove that. And I don't know when they cut this together, but they did such a god awful job. They did, though, to their credit, I looked this up. They brought back Mel Blanc and what's her name? June Foray. Who does Witch Hazel's voice. They brought them back to do those filler segments. Unfortunately, those filler segments sucked and felt every bit as much a filler as they were. And for those who don't know, Mel Blanc did like every voice, and June Foray did like Rocky and Bullwinkle, did Cindy Lou Who, a bunch of iconic characters, and this one as well, Granny from Looney Tunes as well.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I think
so they brought those people out of retirement.
The date I saw on this, I believe, was like 1977. So maybe that's
70,
when they
really
did the super cut and released that as its own thing. I think
it's extra tough to tell because after, like, considering the recut that this is, imagine then that they found like 2 or 3 other shorts and just kind of crammed those together too. That's the version I saw on Apple TV, and I gotta say I liked the other segments better. There were some really fun segments. There was an Exorcist parody. There was one that I remember from being a kid that was a Invasion of the Body Snatchers play, which is
the Frankenstein
great.
One. They have a lot of like old horror Looney Tunes. One big kind of disappointment for me was there was no Gossamer, the big red monster,
the red hairy
or whatever.
Monster.
Yeah. So I agree. When I found like this. Now, I'm of a kind of split minds about this because there's something specific about this that kind of hits a special note with me, which is, I even did it this week, honestly. So what I did this week was I watched Over the Garden Wall, and there's this extra bonus episode that was actually like a test pilot kind of thing. Yeah, and I like worked it into the main show because like I kind of wanted it all to kind of like be together. And that's something I've done for a lot. I mean, making like downloading demos of bands and putting them in mixed CDs of albums with like album tracks to trying to make like this super album or this flow. That's just something I really like to do. And not even just with music, like I said, Over the Garden Wall. And, you know, sometimes I'll think about even when we're talking about like the Howl-oween trilogy, Dave and Gordon Graham, like, could we cut this and put this over here and like make this Frankenstein thing? From an exercise standpoint, I wrote like, oh, it feels kind of like a mixed CD where it's like this collection of things that don't flow together, different genres, different singers, different sounds, but it's like a collection of things that you like. And in that way, it's interesting as an exercise. It's not greatly done because that's always going to be choppy and how these stories flow together. But for piecing these stories together, for the most part, they did a pretty solid, interesting job. So it hits me in that kind of way.
I didn't know.
I don't have that interest.
When I watched this, I did not know that it was like a supercut, basically, of other like episodes until you guys said that. But when I put it on, I did remember these like moments happening, and I felt like, in my memory, there was like a lot more to that story. I guess I was wrong. Like I don't know. I just thought my memory was fucked up or whatever. But when you guys said like, no, it's like a Frankenstein episode, I was like, that makes perfect sense. Because that Jekyll and Hyde short, I remember seeing that as a kid and I loved it. And I just thought there was so much more to it. I couldn't believe when it ended. I was like, oh, that's it. Wow. In my memory, there was so much more.
Dude, yeah, I really hate the recut, and like it's fine as an exercise, whatever. Thing is, this is packaged. They brought back character actors. They animated new segments that look like shit,
roughly.
And like the animation style, the even the voices to some extent, they all like are very discordant with each other. They're clearly from different animation eras of the Looney Tunes dynasty and all that stuff. So like it just doesn't fit well together. And here's the other thing is like, if you're going to do that, you do it to you want it to make sense. And this doesn't. Like there's things all of a sudden, and at a certain point in this, Bugs is just wearing an umpire's uniform. Whatever gag set that off is not present. It's fucking nonsense. And it's very frustrating because I want to see the gags. If you're going to cut anything, don't cut the gags. Like, yeah, and make those at least stand up. And there's just like a lot of that. And even when they do a gag, it's like the thing with the bunny, for better or for worse, like some of them are just like they seem to give new punchlines to make it somewhat make a little bit more sense, but they don't do either. They really don't make that much more sense, and they're definitely less funny. So it loses on multiple fronts. It's just like it was a huge disappointment because I was most looking forward to this one. This is like Looney Tunes. I grew up with that shit so hard. I watched it all the time. I think a lot of people did, obviously. Like in our era, like that's all that Cartoon Network was for like 5 years was Looney Tunes and Hanna-Barbera. So like, I don't know. This was a disappointment. I just want to go back and watch the shorts, and I'm going to. I just didn't get a chance to before this show. And Juice, you did get to watch a couple of the full shorts, didn't you?
I did. So it's 9 of them, and I probably watched maybe 6, I think, of them. Now, I will say I was going to comment on that. So it was interesting going back again. We're revisiting things from our childhood in a way and looking at them through new eyes. I was like, man, some of these jokes are going over my head, very referential. You need to read a lot of the times to get some of these jokes in the original shorts. I'm starting to blur the Halloween special with the originals, so it's kind of hard. But the one I will say that was fucking cracking me up, that was just so good, was the Porky Pig one. I think it's called Scaredy Cat, with him and Sylvester and the rats or whatever. And man, that had some of the best shit in there. So if you're going to check out one of them, like that one, and the Dracula one was pretty good. That one's called Transylvania 5000.
Which is interestingly, that's a joke name. It's like a pun, and they used the same pun for a Jeff Goldblum horror comedy a few years later.
What is the pun? Like, what is it?
It's Pennsylvania 5000, I think, was like a number exchange, like a phone number exchange, something like that. It's something like older technology that we're not privy to. as young people. Maybe Hugh Janus will give us a call and tell us what it was.
Tell us that joke. But yeah, I the shorts are much better. I was kind of disappointed too, but even going back and watching some of the shorts, I was like, wow, like some of these jokes are very either dated or I just don't get what the fucking reference is because it's probably like linked into with the time. But when you're a kid, it's all just about, the gags, like the physical, people running off a cliff and not falling. And the anvil.
Some of those Mel Blanc performances of like when he like scream. I remember that Gossamer short where it ends with Bugs saying like, look, there's people watching you right now. And he points at the camera and Gossamer goes, oh, people. That read is so fucking funny. And he just runs away screaming. It's so great. And like they cut out so much of that, it feels like in this.
They did.
There was no Gossamer at all, which is
it feels weird to even rate this because it's like a fan edit. It doesn't feel like it deserves the shorts that were cut up to make this are the parts are so much greater than the sum here.
Mm-hmm. The Tweety Bird one too. I love the visuals. So talking about like what is in this, the Tweety Bird Jekyll, it's really fucking cool. That's a good short one too. And the thing is, I mean, this whole short, the cut up short is somewhere around like 23 to 25 minutes. And I feel like they shouldn't have done it this way because they're doing a mix of the witch and the Dracula and the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde type thing where like you could have either picked. So the shorts themselves are about 6 to 7 minutes. The full cartoon. You should have done Simpson style. I know Simpsons didn't exist when they did it. Yeah, Either pick one witch, one Dracula, one Gossamer, one Jekyll, and like have maybe a little wraparound.
Exactly.
Or 3 witches, 3 witch cartoon. Because they do pull from, there is a lot of these have the same name. So there's one that's called A Witch's Tangled Hair, Bewitched Bunny, and Broomstick Bunny. You could do a whole witch one and then do a whole Gossamer one.
And clearly there was a Daffy Duck with Witch Hazel one. There's a Speedy Gonzales. The thing is like the stock they're using is great. All they have to do is put wraparounds and package it and it's done. Instead they went, I don't know if it was more or less ambitious or what, but like, it's gotta be hard to like retrofit these things together. And like, rough. I was looking at it like here's an inconsistency for you. Here's the cinema sin ding. Here we go. Daffy Duck's nephew never fucking shows up ever again. Never appears ever again. He shows up for like one scene. He gets scared while wearing this costume. And then we see Bugs Bunny wearing the exact same costume, which is like, I don't know what the costume's supposed to be even. It's just random shit. Like and he's wearing the same thing. It seems like they had intended to like insert him into that role and use some of that walking and scare footage. And they just decided not to in the last minute or something. And what are they dressed as? Why are they dressed the same? Why does he never show up again? Why do this? Why do this? Like,
I don't know. I couldn't explain it. Maybe they just had to sell a DVD or two. I don't know.
That's exactly what it is.
1978.
Well, no, here's the thing is like, well, I don't know, but like it was a TV special. It was probably packaged for kids and like just shat out for what, like, this is the thing is like Looney Tunes, Hanna-Barbera, all that stuff. The reason they were able to make any money when they were making money back in the day, a lot of the time was because they could run cheaply, extremely cheaply. And that carried on as the company started to like not do so well. Like WB was not doing well in like the early 90s when they made the repackage that I watched that included a bunch of extra shit that was also kind of poorly spliced together. This is repackaging is just what they did, especially when the home video market came out and cable came out. That's how they were like surviving. And then Space Jam happened and everything kind of changed for Looney Tunes. It became a cultural icon in a way that it hadn't been in a long time. This is my understanding. I'm sure if Warren, our buddy Warren, was here, he could probably set me straight on a few of these facts, but this is how I remember it happening. And I don't know. It's just give me good golden era Looney Tunes as it was, or something new. Like, again, there was that, what is it? I have it written down there. One of the ones that was not included in the Howl-oween special was Invasion of the Bunny Snatchers, which was made in like the late 80s, early 90s, and it has a different sort of animation style. It kind of plays with the format a little bit. I don't know. It's great. It's a lot of fun. And I remember watching it as a kid and loving it too. You can do things with these characters. If you're going to make it new, make it new. If you're going to repackage the old ones, just repackage the old ones and put a wrap around if you want to. This is an abomination to me.
Damn.
Yeah.
I think this does like deliver a little bit on the Halloween vibes, at least. Like you got the witch.
I like the intro.
The intro. You've specifically towards the end in the haunted house, you get a lot of like, eyes in the walls and the giant like spider, and there's like a witch's brew. That there's one point there's like this ghostly sheet flapping around in the wind, and there's like a theremin kind of music that comes in behind it that's pretty effective. So at least they deliver on that end of it, even if it is overall pretty chopped up and doesn't flow very well. The Jekyll and Hyde reference is great. Definitely a fan of that. So like it hits some points, like if you want to throw something on that's maybe a little bit longer than just 6 minutes, and get like a solid dose of Looney Tunes. I guess you could do that here without having to find a playlist somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's it's confusing and doesn't flow very well, and feels like there's parts missing because overall there's a shitload of parts missing.
There's a lot.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are there any other major points you guys want to touch on before we rate this one?
I think it's impossible to not just keep complaining.
Tough, yeah. Oh, well. I was just going to say, it's kind of tough to cover it without just going through my general notes as I watched it. Yeah.
Oh, well, let's go ahead and rate it then. Randeezy, you're kicking this one off. How do you feel out of 5?
Yeah, obviously I don't feel good about this. To me, there's nothing in this special that couldn't be better accomplished with a supercut on YouTube. Like, you don't, they half measured it, and they should have just either made a supercut, made a compendium with a wraparound, or just like made something new. Like this is the uncanny valley of recuts. I don't like it. It made all the jokes fall flat. It made the character motivations very hard to follow. It made all the characters in general very hard to follow, and it doesn't create a singular narrative in any real way. So who gives a shit? Like, it doesn't serve any higher function. So I'm going to rate this strictly on the basis of what this is and not what the shorts are. I want to make that clear because I do love some of these shorts. I remember them, and I will probably watch them and have a great time. But for this recut, it's really abysmal to me. It was hard to watch, both emotionally and practically. It was hard for me to keep my eyes open watching this. So yeah, I don't love this as much as Looney Tunes. Like, I was so looking forward to this. It very much disappointed me. I'm just going to give this a 1.5 for the few jokes it did give me that I enjoyed. This was just hard. This was a hard lesson to learn. This is why you pre-screen people.
Damn. I'll slide in here real quick.
Bob, out of 5. Bugs Bunny Howl-oween special.
I don't think I'm quite as salty about this as Randy is, but it is. When I was watching it, like, other than it just feeling like parts were missing, I did think, like, man, this is not super funny. I'm not really laughing a whole lot. So I was just kind of like in it for the spooky, like, aesthetics and, vibes, and it ended, and I was like, huh, that was better in my memory, I guess. Like, and it makes sense, like, why that is. The inclusion of the witch and, like, all the other spooky shit I already mentioned is, like, cool, but I definitely want to watch, like, the full segments now. I don't know that I'd super recommend it. Like, just watch the full segments. I mean, you got to be able to find a playlist somewhere that fairly easily. And one thing that we didn't mention is, like, the Speedy Gonzalez character just doesn't really age very well. It's not a great vibe. Yeah.
I don't want to speak out of turn here, but I have heard the argument from people in Latin America that it was kind of a boon of representation of some kind.
Yeah.
But, obviously better representation exists. So I don't know what to make of that statement, and I certainly don't want to misrepresent it. So if anybody has the feeling, anybody from Latin America or anything that has a fondness for Speedy Gonzalez, I would love to hear the rationalization so that I don't sound like such a piece of shit.
Yeah. It was a bit cringy to me anyways. So
it's a little
it could have been done better. See, I'm going to come in with a 2 even on this one myself. Juice, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be kind of in line with that. What I think is this one is with the other ones, it's ones you grew up with as a kid, and then coming back to them as an adult, you see it in a new kind of way, in a new kind of light. One of the things that is about this one specifically is I think that this would still work okay with kids. I think kids could like adapt to these things better. And so this one does not age as well in the adult eyes, but I still think that this would probably be in a time, especially considering when this came out, 1978, there's no YouTube playlist. There's no VHS. There's no way. I mean, you're kind of putting essentially what is over an hour's worth of material into a TV special so kids can watch a kind of spooky good time. Then, it's not the worst thing in the world. It's not great, especially now by our standards and the options that we have for, I can just like, hey, watch all these 9 shorts or whatever. But for the time, I can give it a little bit of a pass. Like I said, to me, it is interesting as an exercise of putting these things together. And in some ways, I think they did a decent job. Sometimes it's terrible, but like the transitions between some of the Dr. Jekyll ones, I thought like, oh, that's kind of clever, especially after I watched the shorts themselves, like where they came from. Some of the best stuff for me, and still like the best short, is the Porky Pig one, the spider shadow, the mice as ghosts running. Just the animations of those are fucking fantastic. The Dracula stuff, they cut out some of the better stuff, but I like that one too. The fucking ending, one of the most interesting things to watch this as an adult, the shorts and this, is just some of the jokes are just what was, funny for the time and stuff. And you're like, whoa, like I said before, it like cracks me up in how ridiculous it is of like, are all women witches on the inside? Yeah. Like, Jesus Christ.
There was one homogenous man that comprised the entire office at that time.
Or the fact that, Bugs is just going to go plow this sexy bunny or whatever. It's like funny in a ridiculous way. Some of the animations are very beautiful. It's got, like Bob said, it's got good spooky vibes. And so, I think I'm going to echo Bob on this one. It is a bit of a monstrosity, but that's kind of appropriate in a way too. So I'll say a 2 out of 5. Disappointing for sure, but I would recommend checking out something to try. I really, if anything, I haven't visited Looney Tunes in a long time, and at least sparked the interest to me to be like, I need to go watch some damn Gossamer shorts and like some of the more like the Frankenstein ones.
That's where my takeaway too is like if you're listening to this and you didn't watch this, good for you, but please go watch the originals because they are really fucking worth it. And
they're pretty available. Yeah.
So go check that shit out. I don't know, like the idea that it's okay because kids can get over it. I don't know, man. Kids watch computer generated footage of Elsa and Spider-Man having babies on YouTube all day long. So,
who doesn't?
Same.
Okay.
All right.
Cool. So with that's going to put our aggregate at a 1.8 for Bugs Bunny's Howl-oween.
I got a rock.
I got a fucking rock. Gentlemen, let's talk about what we've been watching this past week.
Oh, all right, we can do that.
Hey gang, what you been watching?
Or should I say weeks? Honestly, we haven't done this in
We
minutes.
can't build up anymore. It's spooky season. We're watching a ton of shit. You gotta release.
It's time to blow. Ray and Deezy, kick us off. What you been watching?
Well, unfortunately, my blow and my release is curtailed by an abundance of shit going on in my life.
What?
Work is going crazy.
You're busy?
Other things. I'm a busy boy. I'm a little busy beaver building my dam.
Ooh,
and
sexy.
But I did manage to. This has been over a few weeks. I did manage to see quite a few things that I'm interested to talk about. I mentioned Inscription, the sort of like card horror game that I've been playing. I finished that. It's really fucking fun, man. I think it's kind of a short game. I think that all things told, it was like maybe 20 hours of gameplay, maybe a little less. You could go further with it. And the card game itself is real fun. The story is cool, and like it switches it up enough to keep it really interesting. I recommend that game. I think it's got a little bit of a cult following going, and I would echo that. I did catch VHS 85. I admit, quite inebriated while watching it, and I had a fabulous time watching that film. There was a number of segments that had me either cackling or like pretty like, oh shit, oh shit, like saying things out loud to nobody. It was great. I don't know if it'll hold up totally on a sober viewing, but that's not for this year to decide. Next, I watched Kane Pixels, who is the like teenager who popularized the best known version of the Backrooms on YouTube, that series. Yeah. He came out with something new called The Oldest View, which is in the same vein, certainly, but it's like, it's kind of tough to describe this guy walking. I don't know. I don't know how much to say because like just explaining the premise is a little bit of a spoiler. Suffice it to say it's a little bit like the Backrooms, different kind of setting a little bit. And it's spooky, man. It's a good spooky little thing. There's only 3 entries. I don't think the first one is really more of a teaser than anything, but there's 2 shorts after that are, I want to say, like in the neighborhood between, I think one is 20 and the other's like 30 or 40 minutes. So like they get pretty long. Some would say overly long, but I love the tension of these things and the silence of it and the foreboding. So I enjoyed that quite a bit. Rewatched Pearl, and that movie is every bit as good as it was the first time, if not better, every time I watch it. It's fucking great. Trick or Treat, got to finally recatch up with this one. Yes, I've been a naysayer of Trick or Treat in the past, but I've come around to it, if only for like the extremely strong spooky vibes. Like it really hits the Halloween colors, the Halloween music, the feel, the vibe, very, very strong. And I really like that about it. Originally, I was very like, I was kind of curtailed by some of the stories. I thought I was a little cheesy and things like that. I've kind of come around to thinking those things as kind of charming within the context of what the movie is. So yeah, that one I came around on for sure.
Yeah, that one and Sleepy Hollow, Randy. You know, you're coming around to our thinking.
You know, I do occasionally change my mind on things. Yes. One thing that will not, however, have my mind changed is Casper the Friendly Fucking Ghost, which I did revisit. And aside from like even trying to take it purely as spooky vibes, I was very distracted in this movie by the really bad performances and the really egregious cameos. Like,
dude, that movie is pretty fire. I think
it holds up really well.
No, those performances are rough.
What?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yes, they are rough, and it's like I don't know, man. The anime, it just feels like it can't decide if it wants to be a kids movie or a adult reference factory of a movie. It just can't. It splits the difference in the worst way. There's only a handful. Like it's palatable. It is what I would call it. It's a palatable movie that I don't care to watch again. Really.
Wow.
So no. Sometimes you guys are just wrong, you know. That's just how
Randy,
it is.
I think you're on the wrong end of that one.
Oh,
2 versus 1.
I think time has proven otherwise. 2 versus. Oh yeah, the only 3 people on Earth have made their notes
2 boys,
known.
1 opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of people that love that movie. I know you guys are some of them, and power to you. Enjoy it. Not for me. Don't love it. I love the castle, though. The castle looks great. I'll give you that.
Hell yeah. In-sync music video too. Oh yeah.
Did they do that in Whipstaff Manor?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the exact same set, but it looks identical to me.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize.
You mean the Backstreet Boys video?
Backstreet's back.
Backstreet's back. In-sync's famous song "Backstreet's Back." But yeah, so moving on, we had a guest in town, our cousin who is heading towards college. So we were doing college tours with her, and she wanted to watch some scary movies. So we watched Psycho to start, getting a little early education in there about the horror film world.
Nice.
And man, I love that movie so much. It really like it holds up so well. The psychology of what's going on. That aside from that, like expository spiel at the end, it's just kind of perfect. Then we also watched 10 Cloverfield Lane for something a little more modern that she was a little somewhat familiar with. Some great John Goodman, of course. So Mary Elizabeth Winstead. I love that movie. Again, right up until the last 10 minutes or so. which they don't completely lose me by any means, but those ending endings are a little much. We also finally got a cold enough day to indulge in our Over the Garden Wall annual watch with some fresh eyes with us. It was, as always, just so great. I love that show so much. Go read the sprawling compendium of musical references I wrote on our website. I only write articles of things I'm interested in and I can't shut the fuck up about, and I need a place to put them. That and like one other thing that I'm holding back for a certain release are like two of the things where I'm just like, I just have to put this on paper somewhere. It's so good. So yeah, I love that show. And then last but not least, this is not a show. This is not a game either. This is a haunt that we went to and had a great fucking time at, called Leech Woods in Damascus, Maryland. It is a sort of a walk through forest thing, like a haunted forest sort of situation, with a lot of like little setups and rigs, a lot of little a lot of little like houses, so to speak, mini houses, a lot of cool effects. And they've only been around a couple years. I talked to the guy about it a little bit, but man, they had a pretty good following. It's for what it is. It's like extremely good value. I recommend it, and I want to give them a shout out. We had a great fucking time at this place. Highly recommend Leech Woods in Damascus, Maryland. And I found out about quite a few other haunts in the area that, if God permits it to be, I will try to go visit as well. We'll see. But yeah, that's no, I'm sorry. There is one. The other things I was going to mention were the other shorts, the other Looney Tunes shorts that I saw on that compendium. The Duxorcist I mentioned, Invasion of the Body Snatchers, Night of the Living Duck. That's one that I think you guys would fucking love, because it's basically like Mad Monster Party with Donald Duck crooning to the monsters. Damn. It's fucking awesome. Monsters lead such interesting lives. It's fucking incredible. Compared to everything else on, like, it's like the spooky season. It's Donald Duck reading comic books. He falls asleep or gets his head bonked in. And then a bunch of like one. You do. So yeah, and then like a ton of movie monsters and stuff are in a lounge listening to him perform for them. It's very slight, it's very small, short, but it's so fun, and it hit the spooky season just right. It's what I wanted to feel while watching all of those other that Looney Tune fuck up that I watched. But
damn.
With a few more jokes, but recommend. I'm gonna watch some Looney Tunes, man. I'm gonna get the actual shit on. That's what's coming up next week on What You've Been Watching.
Get the shit on. Juice, what you been watching?
Ooh, I'll try to burn through them. Ghostbusters. Hadn't revisited that in a while. Talking about some characters that haven't necessarily aged particularly well. Fucking Ray. Goddamn. Yeah. But a lot of fun watch. It had been a while, but I liked it. Yearly watch of Hocus Pocus. Hoker Poker. Yabos. Kills it. Still love it. Watch Saw 4, 5, and 6. The Hoffman trilogy. Whoa. Some lows in that one. Some traps. There's some good traps in there.
Peter lows.
But generally, that's a rough run. 6 is probably the best one there.
I got a rock.
At this point, I have watched all of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror multiple times. So not all of them multiple times, but yeah, a decent amount of them multiple times. So yeah, there's some later really good ones, and then there's some really, really, really bad ones. I watched a Mickey Mouse Halloween Spooktacular. That's from the same show as that I mentioned, The Wonderful Autumn of Mickey Mouse. That's really fun too. It's an anthology. Really great. Love that style. Toy Story of Terror. It's on Disney Plus. It's okay. It's all the original squad and everything like that. It's got some spooky vibes. I feel like they could have leaned more into it, but they set it up in a particular way that's, I think, works okay. Casper. I legit, every time I watch that, I think objectively this holds up really well from the animation standpoint, from the performances, from like what's going on. I think it really does hold up. It's got great spooky vibes, autumn vibes. They're in Maine. Yeah, I think that one holds up really well. I also watched VHS 85, was sober, did not nearly like it as much as Randy. I thought they went way too heavy on the fucking VHS effects on that one. Half the time, like, can't even fucking watch what the fuck is going on. Jesus Christ. The wraparound on that one, though, was cool. I did like the wraparound. And some of the segments I did like. But overall,
I like that Mexico City one, man.
That's on the on the lower. That's on the lower end of the VHSs for me so far. I watched Hubie Halloween. I didn't get a chance to watch that one. Okay, some weird choices in that. It's got some good vibes. But some choices were made that aren't good choices. I did watch Over the Garden Wall with the special Tomb of the Unknown, tome or whatever of the unknown thrown in. I put it right after the potatoes and molasses episode. And that worked really well for me. I think that's a good
Old
flow.
John Crops.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Over the Garden Wall. It's magic. It's like pure fucking autumn magic.
I could be wrong, but I think a little bit of trivia is that the guy who voices John Crops, I think, is oh shit, what's his name? That music video, the zombie.
Oh yeah,
CW Stone King. I think it's
Stone. Yeah.
CW Stone King. I think that's him.
Oh,
damn.
I might double check that to be sure, but I'm pretty sure that's the guy. And respect, because I fucking love that video and I listen to some of his music all the time. We literally played one of his songs at our wedding. So
yeah. I like that episode, like as an episode, other than Beatrice like not being the same voice or whatever, like, and the animation being a little, I really actually like that episode. So yeah, good. I watched the entirety of Fall of the House of Usher because fucking Flanagan, man. And I had forgotten because I didn't watch a show last week, but it was giving me mad, midnight midnight mass vibes. And then all of the other ones before where I was just essentially binging them in October, where I'm watching all these other things, but I was just like, I have to fucking watch this. It's so good. It's really good.
To see it.
And now I gotta like kind of go back and watch. I don't think I've got time now, but I want to watch a show from last year. I know it's like considered definitely one of the weaker ones, but I was like, man, this dude fucking knocks it out of the park. And it's got this weird blend where it's like accessible, but also he brings a lot of like horror aspects to it. I'm just like, man, this is he did a good job on essentially like bringing these Poe stories to life, but putting them in a cohesive main story and like putting it in modern times and stuff like that. It's not like 100% perfect, but for the most part, I was like really impressed and thought they did a good job. I watched the first episode of the new Goosebumps show, which has Justin Long in it. Didn't know that.
I saw that.
It's a little kind of teeny, ish.
Makes sense.
But I'm curious about Justin Long being in it. And
how long are the episodes?
Too long. It was like 40. I think they're all about 45 minutes to an hour. They shouldn't be that long. They shouldn't be that long. They
does a dog bark the theme song?
No, I don't.
Well, what the fuck?
So no, but that's all I've been watching. Bob, what you been watching, my guy?
Well, I watched Saw 3D, Jigsaw, and Spiral. Saw 3D is one of my favorites in the franchise, easily. It leans into the campy ridiculousness of it. Doesn't take itself super seriously. It's a very fun watch. I like it quite a bit. Jigsaw's just as bad as I remember it being. Spiral is, I don't know, comparatively, like, it's not bad. Like, it's better than a lot of the other Saw movies, and they actually had a bit of a budget because Chris Rock and Sam Jackson signed on to it, so it's cleaner, it looks better, it flows a little better. It's not a good story necessarily, but it's all right. It's all right. I revisited Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. Halloween Kills is still pretty fun. The Johns kick ass. Halloween Ends is still just bad. I watched VHS.
It's shocked you went back to watch that.
I don't know. We're getting into the David Gordon Green shit again. And I was like, let me just throw these on. I watched VHS 85. It's like kind of mid for me. It's definitely not the worst VHS movie. It's far from the best. It's okay. I have seen the first 5 episodes of Fall of the House of Usher, and so far I'm loving it. I can't wait to finish it. 3 left. I love how each episode really is kind of like inspired by a Poe story, but yeah, with like a modern kind of through a modern lens, and they are all cohesive. They're not standalone. It's fucking intriguing. Some great writing. Definitely worth watching. I watched a new documentary on Hulu called Monster Inside, which is the latest documentary about McCamey Manor and Russ McCamey, which if you're unfamiliar, it's like the most notorious extreme haunt in the country. Dude makes you sign a waiver saying that he can quite literally just torture you, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no recourse. People come out of there with like black eyes, bleeding, like just bruised, battered. It literally waterboards people. Just bad stuff, not good stuff. But I mean, he does like he films. He calls them like tours. He films all of his tours, and they're all on YouTube. So you can watch exactly what he's going to do to you, and he explains before you like go into his house. I think it's like a 2 or 3 hour like signing process where he explains all the dangers and like how he's not liable and all the things that are going to happen to you, and you have to sign your life away. So like exactly what you're signing up for, and people in this documentary are battered to shit. And they regret it, and it's like I'm sure that you do regret it. Like, I'm not trying to say what he's doing is okay. It is not okay. Even if people say like, "Yeah, do whatever the fuck you want to me," it's really not okay. Also, there has notoriously not been a safe word. I believe he has now instituted a safe word because of this really bad reputation that he's garnered for himself. But for years there was no safe word. So like when you were like in his house, you were just his for like 4 or 5 hours, and it just sounds like a nightmare, and it's absolutely awful shit, and he shouldn't do what he does, but it's not a secret, and people keep signing up to do it, and I'm just not totally sure why people continue at this point to do it. There's really no new information in this documentary whatsoever. I think it's just churned out for like shock value. It's like 3 people who have gone through his house. It really focuses on them and their story, and they tell you exactly what happened and the fallout from it and how they're dealing with it. And then there is one guy that I guess worked with him at some point. There's like not outright allegations, but they definitely like hint at him being like a sexual predator. There's no evidence of it necessarily, but like clearly he is getting his rocks off by doing this, by torturing people. He is getting some sort of very serious, potentially sexual gratification out of it because he makes no money on it. He doesn't charge people to go into his house. The entry fee is like 3 or 4 cans of dog food because he's a dog lover and he just donates all the food. So it's completely free, and he spends...
That's some Ramsey Bolton shit.
Yeah, he spends like hundreds of thousands of dollars building these things, and like they're pretty fucking elaborate. And I mean, he would not do this otherwise if he didn't just fucking literally like to torture people, because that's what he's doing. He's like, there's something wrong here for sure, but I can't believe people are still lining up for this. I just don't understand it, dude. It doesn't make sense to me. Stop doing it, please.
It's like... this isn't like the hot sauce challenge. This is waterboarding and shit.
Yeah.
Why would you?
If people paid me money to torture them, would y'all still hang out with me?
Dude,
no.
I don't think so.
Hard pass.
I don't think I could defend that. So no.
They're paying me, Bob. What? I'm giving them what they want.
I'm just providing a service, you see.
Anyway,
Bob, I'm just trying to work like any other.
I make ends meet.
Dude, I just
work with my hands.
That's all I've been watching. Don't sign up for fucking McCamey Manor, people. Just stop doing
Sign up for Soju's House of Fun.
Get Soju Sojourn in the woods.
So we do have a couple voicemails. Let's get into those real quick and wrap this show up.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening, would like to call and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. 2 voicemails this week. First up, we're going to hear from our boy Chris. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Hey, Straight Chillin' crew, this is Chris in Louisiana, otherwise known as Supreme Leader Vladimir Putin. So I'm listening to the Exorcist Believer episode. I haven't watched Exorcist Believer. I have no intention of watching Exorcist Believer. So I just listened to the episode, spoilers and all. Anyways, the prompt at the end about the Halloween specials, I was elated to hear you guys talk about the Halloween special from the Adventures of Pete and Pete. And there's not very many people that still talk about Adventures of Pete and Pete. I was lucky enough to have a roommate in my 20s. One of our favorite things to do just out of the blue every once in a while in a drunken rampage was just bellow out, "Hey, Shumbei, does your dog bite? Hey, Shumbei." It was the greatest. And that show was really great, too. And I think it's kind of weird because I've looked for it to try and find it. And I think you can buy it like on Amazon Prime or something, but streaming free, it's pretty hard to find. And a while ago, also, I remember they were advertising on Nickelodeon like 2 or 3 years ago that they were going to do a marathon. And then I tried DVRing it. Like there wasn't, I think it was like 2 episodes that they aired or something. It's like some goddamn marathon. But anyways, yeah, great Halloween episode. It's probably one of my favorite Halloween episodes of any kind of show. Roseanne's good also. But anyways, that's all I wanted to talk about was just Adventures of Pete and Pete. Can't ever grow tired of talking about Adventures of Pete and Pete. It's one of the, I would say, arguably the best Nickelodeon live action show of all time. Maybe that's bold, maybe it's not. Anyways, all right. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Love a fellow Halloweeny.
Does he dog bad?
Dude, I said a predator Jim Bear. That shit.
That show's wild. Like, people who didn't grow up with that, I wonder what they would think about it.
It's hard to describe to people.
It's
who
a
don't
weird
know
show.
It's really weird, yeah. The kid has a tattoo.
Dude.
The child.
Okay.
It's of a woman.
Man.
It's a pinup. What?
That's true. Petunia.
Damn, dude. And he's got an imaginary. Well, let's not get it.
Not imaginary. No.
Strong man. An endless mic. He never ends. He goes on forever and ever.
Shit's wild.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in and chiming in on Pete and Pete, man. It's fucking great. Check it out. It's if you haven't, especially
if you can,
the Halloweenies episodes. It's awesome. Good shit.
I'll try and look for a link.
Fucking Iggy Pop's in that thing.
Iggy
like, for
Pop.
Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, that show is fucking incredible on so many levels. It should never, like, by no account should it have ever reached anybody.
Yeah. It's got
like,
such random 90s vibes, like the randomness of the 90s. That encapsulates it so well.
It's just like something cool snuck by. It's really awesome. Like that, like Craig of the Creek is kind of the modern equivalent as far as I'm concerned, and they just ended that. But and it's not an equivalent in any other way other than it's like something really awesome that kind of snuck through and became a national show, syndicated show. Anyway, love Pete and Pete, love Halloweenies, love Endless Mike. Fuck yeah.
Cool. Thanks for calling, Chris. Next up, we are going to hear from Sarah. Let's see what she has to say.
Hi, guys. My name is Sarah. I've been listening to the show for about a year or a little bit over a year. Actually, based off of the librarian's suggestion, they've recommended so many fucked up horror books in our book club. And so I decided to give the show a shot because I end up loving the books that she recommends. So I just wanted to say thank you for all of your hard work and the good quality content you guys put out. You've really expanded my horizons as a horror nerd with all the films that I've watched based off of your suggestions. And the same thing with other podcasts like Cut Above and Plug It Up. So I'm really grateful for that. Recently I watched the first Scream movie for the first time, and it was really good. I enjoyed it. The soundtrack was fire. There was a bunch of horror movie references in the movie, and it felt very self-aware as a scary movie. Ironically enough, I actually watched a Scary Movie before watching Scream, so While I was watching Scream, all I could see were the parodies. So for fall or spooky season in general, I've been trying to watch a lot of like horror movies based off of it. So I've been watching The Cabin in the Woods. I've been watching Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, It from 2017, which I really loved. I watched Hocus Pocus and Carrie. Up next, I have Coraline. I have Fantastic Mr. Fox, X, Pearl, the Texas Chainsaw Massacres. So those are the vibes. Right now, I have Halloween 1978 queued up. And guys, I committed a huge cardinal sin because I watched the Rob Zombie versions before watching the original, and I didn't even know that there was an original. I thought the Rob Zombie version was the right one. Ugh. So I realized my mistake now, and I'm about to watch, Halloween. So, yeah. It's Friday the 13th, so cheers to that. Happy spooky season. Keep chilling.
That's an ideal voicemail.
Yeah, you got some good watches coming up.
Yeah, damn.
I'm excited
We're out here
for you.
changing lives.
Yeah. I've been saying it for 10 damn years.
No, for real though, like seriously,
great.
like already what you've watched is like a ton of must see horror stuff. So I'm psyched. Like I would love to hear what she thinks of non-Rob Zombie's Halloween.
It's different.
It is different.
Lori's not talking about blowing her granddad or whatever she says at the beginning of the movie. Like,
damn. Whoa.
Yeah.
Her stepfather, whatever. She's like, I don't know, fucking a bagel with a finger.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's not a great. It's not.
The
what
man
you
knows
want.
how people talk.
Fuck you, Granddaddy.
Oh my God.
I love all that.
Yeah, I'm
bullshit.
excited for you. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Enjoy
Good
that.
watches coming up.
Enjoy that ride.
And my God, if you're in a book club with the librarian, good luck. You got a lot to keep up with. They just read and read and read and read.
You just got to read 12 books a week. What, you can't keep up with that?
That's all.
That's on you.
That's all.
That's on you. Thanks for calling, Sarah, and happy spooky season to you. Again, if you guys are listening and want to call and leave a voicemail for next week, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Gentlemen, you got any prompts you want to throw out? Any more Halloween-related questions? Costumes?
Next week
maybe?
is getting to the point where we're wrapping up spooky season. I don't know if after that we'll have another episode drop before Halloween or right at Halloween, I guess. So this is it.
Yeah.
This is kind of it.
Yeah, this episode
And I've got
our
no
next
ideas.
episode, and that's it for October. Let us know what you're dressing up as this year. What's your Halloween costume?
And barring that, tell us what your favorite costume that you've seen is. Other people.
Yeah. Talk costumes.
I'd be interested to know that. Let's
Furries?
talk stooms, people.
Let's see from our Chilloween. There was some pretty good Chilloween Halloween party. There was good costumes. Did the ceiling fan win the
ceiling fan? Nate won the ceiling fan.
The costume ceiling.
That was
fan.
pretty unique. Never seen a ceiling.
That's tough to
fan.
describe verbally, but it's a good joke.
He had a hat that was a fan and a shirt that said fan, and he was a ceiling fan.
It said "Go ceilings."
Go ceiling. Yeah, that's what ceiling fan.
We had a Tiki Jason Voorhees. We had a
Mask of the Red Death.
And the Mask of the Red Death. Yeah, that was a good one.
Speaking of,
and we had Barbie.
Barbie,
Barbie.
Yeah, man, we just had a ton.
We had Miles's dump truck present.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm not going to ask any further questions about that. So call in.
Call in. We're going to be back next week with a brand new episode. As always, this is going to be our big Halloween extravaganza, our triple feature. Juice, this was, you actually won this triple feature this month. Do you remember what three movies we're talking about?
Yeah, we're going to do a Tim Burton special. We're going to start with Sleepy Hollow, so doubling down on the Sleepy Hollows.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're going to do Frankenweenie. So strong Halloween vibes, but then we're going to move us into Christmas. So we're going Edward Scissorhands to wrap us up and head into the Christmas season.
Hell yeah.
Premature Christmas prep.
Wow.
So,
Dude, I went into a fucking Dollar Tree this week and they had a wall of Christmas shit.
it's everywhere.
And my ass
Michael's,
was salty.
already.
Lowe's, Home Depots, everybody's rolled their Christmas shit out already. It's nuts.
Take it back.
Money, 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 boys.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not.
Speaking
it's
of
not
which,
it's
sign
not
up for our Patreon.
Yeah,
Now,
it's not a completely pure and uncapitalized product like Halloween. You know, nobody makes any money. Of course.
Oh yeah.
so slam your eyeballs into all three of those Tim Burton movies: Sleepy Hollow, Frankenweenie, and Edward Scissorhands. Get ready for next week's show.
Edward Scissorhands.
Edward
Scissormangs.
Scissorhands.
This is my boy Scissormang. Scissor me mang. You can find us on all the social medias. Just search Straight Chilling Podcast. We'll pop right up. If you want to join us on our Slack channel Conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets and I'll send you a link so you can join in on the daily conversations. And that's going to do it for us this week at Straight Chilling. Until next time, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.
Monsters lead such interesting lives.
Gather round, all you ghastly ghouls, and kick off this Halloween season with scary good music and even scarier movies. Monster House Records is a brand new vinyl record retailer specializing in punk rock music and horror movie memorabilia. Located in the heart of Sanford, Florida, they boast a wide array of physical media, including vinyl records, cassette tapes, CDs, VHS, Laserdisc, and more. You can also find vintage tees, books, and plenty of toys. Come for the music, stay for the chills and thrills at the Monster House Records. Be sure to follow them at Monster House ORL or visit them on their website at monsterhouserecords.com.